Hi, before we get started, I just want to mention a couple of things. That this is a MongoDB introduction, and as an introduction, I'm not going to go into great details about it. Instead, this will be a first of a series on MongoDB and NoSQL. And this is the first screencast on teachmetocode.com. And I'd like to thank Eric for letting me do this. And I'll be releasing screencasts very often starting now. Hopefully, the production quality won't get worse. But then again, it's very hard to get worse than what it is now. So I have a very good starting point. Okay, let's start with MongoDB. In case you don't know how to install it, I have a screencast on my website, and you can watch that to install on macOS 10. So basically, what I do is when I enter MongoDB and my database is in my home directory under data/db, and when I do that, that's when the server is starting up. So now the server is running, and just like Rails, when you do script server, if you need to stop that server, you just do Control-C, and that's it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up a client in a terminal and show you some of the commands here. Okay, this is an interactive shell, and from here, if you are lost, just type in help and press enter, and it will give you a little bit of a set of commands that you need to work with. And one thing that you need to be aware is if you want to look at database level help, then you do db help. But here's one catch: you have to put extra parentheses, because as you can see, you see a list of command. But if you just do the db help, you actually get the method itself, and that's something that you need to be aware of. Now let's go ahead and create our database. You do that by issuing the command use YASI. Now the application that I'm creating is called YASI. Now that stands for yet another stupid idea. It's an application that I'm going to be using on a daily basis to record my stupid ideas. So I thought it would be nice to create an application besides the blog, like every other screencasts are. So that's what it is. What's nice about MongoDB is that you don't explicitly have to say create DB, but instead, if you save the first document, then it automatically creates all those collections and database for you. So this is a nice feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a authors collection, and the way I do it is basically do a save. So let's say db authors save, and all I need to is pass in the key pair value. Now let's retrieve the record I just created. Once again, you need to have a parentheses when you do find, because if you do db authors find, you actually get the function itself. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and create another record. And I'll save this as an object. So now if I want to get a listing of all the authors, then I just do there. Now I have two authors. Okay, now we've created database and collection and actually inserted documents to it. Let's do the find. As I showed you before, if you need to pull out all the records, all you do is db authors and find. You do that without passing any search criteria. And as you can see, I have two records, and all I have to do is find, and it returns it. Now if I want to pull out a specific record that with a match, then I would pass in the key pair value. In this case, let's pull me. Okay, I just want you to be aware that it is case sensitive, so you need to be careful on that. And I'm sure when you actually write an application on top of this, that you will handle that. But for now, if I do the same thing, but if I do without capitalization, notice it doesn't return anything. So you need to be aware of that. Now that we've gone over create and read, let's do the update. If you look at DB authors find all, what I'll do is I'll pull out John Smith and update his record. There's two ways of doing this. You could actually use a save function, or you could use update. Normally, you would use save function if you pull out one specific record, then you could just use a save, because what the save does is that it will create a new one if it doesn't exist, and will update if it does exist. So that's a very nice feature. And of course, update, you could do a bulk update, much like the SQL, and you could do you could pass in the conditions and what you need to update. So that's one way of doing it. So let's start with the first one. What I will do is let me get this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find it by ID, and that's more precise. And all I need to do is just copy and paste this. Oh. Okay, so now I have X is... Oh, sorry. I forgot one thing. If I'm going to be finding it, what it does is that I need to find one, and that's the function that I need to call. So that's why I get that. Okay, so there's one function. If you want to find a one, then just find one. So now that I have this object, what I will do is I'm gonna update this document, and I could add a I could change the last name, or I could actually, in fact, I'm gonna give it an IQ value, key pair, and I'm gonna give it a 80. So if you look at X now, so that's what now it has an IQ key and a value of 80. So let's save that. And the way to update that particular one is all you have to do is call save on it. So now, so let's take a look. Notice that now John Smith has IQ of 80 now. I know this sounds a little cruel, but that's how you update it. And far as updating bulk with the conditions, that I will not cover in this podcast, but most likely I will cover that later on. Once again, this is intro, and I'm just going to cover a basic CRUD function here. So let's move on to deleting that record and John Smith. And deleting is very simple. All I have to do is actually, once again, X's still exist. So I just DB authors remove. So okay, that's basically makes up all the CRUD operation for basic simple one table. So let's go ahead and create another collection for YASI, and let's create a one single YASI object. So I'm gonna call it Y, and then I'll create the, let's see, title. Now this is a JavaScript, so it's nice to have something like category and creating a key pair value like this. Let's see. Okay, now that I've created a Y object, what I will do is this thing is an author. So if you look at my A, I already pulled out my new object as an A, and this is how you basically relate to create a relationship. So what I will do is author is A. So if you look at it, notice there's an author field that actually has my object in it, and basically it's a subdocument. So if I do, let's see, there, so it's been created, and there I have the relationship between author and one of my YASI. So how do I actually go about querying this? This is one technique I'm gonna go over, and I will cover the advanced technique later on. But one simplest way to do is actually pull do the find by the author equals that object. So if you look at db YASI.find and give a key pair value of author and A, which is that particular object, it returns the record that we're looking for. Okay, that's it for this episode, and next time what I will do is I'll expand further on what we built on. First thing that I will be doing is doing CRUD from Ruby, not from the command line, and I'll start putting together YASI, and it will be a Sinatra app. So those of you who actually are not familiar with Sinatra, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's really that simple.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!